Admiral Jack Reynolds stood on the observation deck of the Global Defense Headquarters, watching the Galactic Council vessel shimmer against Earth's atmosphere. Its hull gleamed with an iridescent material unknown to public human science, though Reynolds knew exactly what it was: crystallized neutrino alloy, something Earth's deep labs had synthesized decades ago. "Sir, the Council delegates are requesting permission to dock at the International Space Station. Standard diplomatic protocols." Lieutenant Mackenzie appeared beside him, her neural implant discreetly hidden beneath a regulation haircut. "Permission granted." And Mackenzie, "Make sure our primitive defense systems are on full display. Let's keep up appearances." Reynolds allowed himself a small smile. "How's our subcutaneous comm network?" "Operational but disguised as basic radio transmissions. They'll hear exactly what we want them to hear." The Galactic Council ship extended elegant docking arms that connected seamlessly with the ISS. Earth's news networks broadcast the historic moment worldwide, humanity's first official contact with the interstellar community. What the broadcasts didn't show were the quantum observation satellites tracking every microscopic detail of the Council vessel, or the hibernating defense grid that lay dormant beneath every major city. Zorax emerged first from the airlock, a towering figure with crystalline appendages and a body that seemed to flow rather than move. Behind him came representatives of 11 other species, the complete Galactic Council. Some appeared almost human. Others defied Earth's biological classification systems entirely. "We welcome the distinguished Council representatives to Earth," Reynolds said, executing a perfect diplomatic bow. Hidden sensors in his uniform analyzed each delegate's biological signatures, feeding data to Earth's unified defense mainframe. Zorax's upper appendages rippled in what Reynolds recognized as amusement. "How charming. Your species has managed interplanetary travel for less than a century, yet here you stand, ready to join galactic civilization." His translator rendered his vibrations into perfect English, though Reynolds understood the original harmonics perfectly. "We're honored by your consideration," Reynolds replied. "Honor has nothing to do with it," another delegate interrupted. "A being composed of what appeared to be living metal. Your system occupies a strategic position at the edge of Sector 7. Better to bring you into the Council than leave you vulnerable to less savory influences." Reynolds noted that 6 of the 12 delegates carried concealed weapons. The Council wasn't taking chances with the primitive humans. If they only knew what lurked beneath Antarctica's ice sheet, a defense system capable of reducing their vessel to its component atoms in microseconds. "We've prepared accommodations and a schedule for your evaluation process," Reynolds said. "Our scientists are particularly eager to learn from your advanced technologies." Zorax made a sound that the translator rendered as laughter. "I doubt your scientists could comprehend even our most basic systems. Your most advanced quantum computers would be considered children's toys in our civilization." Reynolds smiled politely while his neural implant registered the irony. Earth's quantum computing had secretly surpassed theoretical limits after the Cascade event of 2036, the near extinction that had united humanity and accelerated technological development beyond anything previously imagined. The public-facing technology was deliberately outdated, a carefully maintained facade. "Perhaps you'll find some aspects of Earth culture interesting, nonetheless," Reynolds offered. "Indeed," said the smallest delegate, Talia. Unlike the others, she studied Reynolds with unsettling intensity. Her species, the Mithril, were rumored to possess empathic abilities. Reynolds maintained his mental disciplines, projecting only what she expected to sense, appropriate nervous excitement from a primitive species meeting advanced beings. As the delegation moved toward the waiting shuttles, Reynolds received a priority alert through his neural implant. Director Elizabeth Parker, head of Earth's Unified Intelligence, was requesting immediate communication. "Excuse me, delegates, I must attend to a small protocol matter. Lieutenant Mackenzie will escort you to your transport." In a secure communication chamber, Reynolds activated the quantum-encrypted channel. Director Parker's hologram materialized, her expression grave. Jack, we've detected anomalous activity at the edge of the solar system. Multiple objects decelerating from FTL travel. They're not broadcasting Council identification signatures. Hostiles. Unknown, but they're running dark. Emergence projected in 6 hours. I've already activated contingency protocol Obsidian. Reynolds felt a chill. Obsidian meant potential level 1 threat, the highest classification in Earth's defense doctrine. Maintain our cover with the Council, he decided. If these new arrivals are hostile, we may need to reveal some of our capabilities, but not everything. Activate the Mercury defense platforms, but keep them in stealth mode. And if the Council detects them, they won't. Our stealth technology exceeds their sensor capabilities by 3 generations. Keep me updated, Director. As Reynolds rejoined the Council delegation, he noticed Talia watching him with newfound curiosity. For a brief moment, he wondered if she had sensed something. It didn't matter now. Within hours, Earth might face its first interstellar threat since unification. The game of pretending to be harmless might end sooner than anyone had planned. The evaluation chamber inside the retrofitted United Nations building gleamed with polished marble and ceremonial flags, a carefully orchestrated display of Earth's finest technology. Admiral Reynolds watched as Zorax manipulated a holographic interface, conducting what the Council called a basic assessment of Earth's defensive capabilities. "Your missile guidance systems are quaint," Zorax commented, gesturing at the outdated schematics Reynolds had provided. "Reaction mass propulsion with rudimentary course correction. You haven't even mastered gravity manipulation for propulsion." Reynolds feigned disappointment. "We've been experimenting with alternative propulsion methods, but nothing successful yet." Lieutenant Mackenzie entered with a tray of refreshments, accidentally stumbling near one of the Council's scanning devices. The liquid splashed harmlessly against an invisible barrier, a Council security measure they hadn't disclosed to Earth. Mackenzie appeared appropriately embarrassed, but the momentary contact had allowed her nanoscale infiltration units to map the device's internal structure completely. "My apologies for the lieutenant's clumsiness," Reynolds said with practiced humility. The metallic delegate, Kurstak of the Mavonian Collective, made a sound like grinding gears. "Your atmospheric defense grid wouldn't withstand even a second-tier Council member's scout ship. I'm surprised your species hasn't been conquered already." Reynolds nodded solemnly. "We've been fortunate to develop in relative isolation." Meanwhile, through his neural implant, Reynolds monitored Director Parker's updates on the approaching unidentified vessels. They had decelerated further and were now holding position just beyond Neptune's orbit, watching, waiting. Talia, the empathic mithril delegate, had separated from the main group and was examining a display of Earth's history. Reynolds approached her, maintaining his mental disciplines. "Finding our history interesting, Council Member Talia." Her silver eyes shifted toward him. "Very much so, Admiral. Particularly the patterns of your conflicts. For a species that claims to have only recently unified, your military strategies show remarkable coherence." Reynolds felt a subtle probe against his mental shields. Nothing aggressive, merely curious. He allowed a carefully constructed memory to surface. The genuine struggle of early space development, the excitement of reaching Mars. All true, all carefully selected. "We learned from our mistakes," he offered. "Indeed." Her gaze lingered on him. "Tell me, Admiral, why does your heart rate remain so steady when Zorax dismisses your technology? Most species show either anger or shame." A dangerous question. Reynolds modified his cardiovascular response in real time through his implant, creating a subtle increase in heart rate. "I've had diplomatic training," he said with a slight flush. "Though I admit it's challenging to hear one's life's work dismissed." Talia nodded, apparently satisfied, but her attention shifted to a junior officer across the room, a specialist monitoring what appeared to be weather satellites. "Your atmospheric monitoring seems quite advanced for your technological level," she observed. "Climate change necessitated better prediction models," Reynolds explained smoothly. Across the chamber, A council technician deployed what appeared to be a simple scanning sphere, but Reynolds recognized it as a Class 4 infiltration probe, designed to bypass security measures and access restricted databases. Lieutenant Mackenzie, noticing it as well, casually moved her tablet near the device. "Oh, what is this fascinating instrument?" she asked with feigned naivety. The technician, a six-limbed Vrex, explained condescendingly, "A simple atmospheric analyzer. Nothing your sensors could detect. May I see how it works?" Mackenzie held her primitive tablet near it, apparently mesmerized. As the Vrex began explaining, Mackenzie accidentally activated her tablet's magnetic interference function, a supposedly unintended electromagnetic pulse that would appear to be a malfunction of primitive Earth technology. The scanning probe sputtered and its outer shell reconfigured, revealing its true purpose. "Oh, I'm so sorry," Mackenzie exclaimed, looking horrified. "Our devices must be incompatible." The Vrex quickly retrieved the compromised probe, shooting a glare at Mackenzie, who maintained her expression of mortified innocence. Reynolds received another encrypted update. The unknown vessels had begun moving again, now on a direct course for Earth. Arrival time adjusted to 4 hours. Contingency Protocol Obsidian had advanced to Phase 2, silent deployment of the Mercury defense platforms. "Admiral Reynolds," Zorax called from across the room, "we've completed our assessment of your atmospheric defenses. Tomorrow, we'll evaluate your orbital capabilities. I suggest you prepare your space station for a comprehensive examination." "Of course, Ambassador," Reynolds replied, ignoring the condescension. "We'll make all preparations." As the council delegation departed for their quarters, Talia lingered behind, her silver eyes following Mackenzie. "Curious," she said quietly. "Your lieutenant's electromagnetic interference perfectly matched the resonance frequency of our scanning technology. What a remarkable coincidence." Reynolds maintained his facade. "Technology can be unpredictable." "Indeed it can, Admiral." She smiled enigmatically, "just as people can be." As she glided away, Reynolds knew their charade was wearing thin. Between Talia's suspicions and the approaching unknown vessels, Earth's carefully constructed deception might soon come to an end. He activated his neural link to Global Command. "Prepare Thunderbird assets for potential activation. We may need them sooner than planned." The first Kryvax warship breached Earth's atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean, its obsidian hull absorbing radar signals rather than reflecting them. 5 more followed in tight formation, their entry vectors calculated to overwhelm Earth's apparent defensive capabilities. In the Global Defense Headquarters emergency chamber, Admiral Reynolds maintained a carefully composed expression as holographic representations of the invasion unfolded before him and the council representatives. "This is most unfortunate," Zorax said, his crystalline appendages flickering with concern that seemed partially genuine. "The Kryvax are a barbaric species, rejected from council membership for their conquering tendencies. They must have learned of your evaluation and decided to claim Earth before you gained our protection." "How convenient," Reynolds replied, his voice flat. "I assure you, Admiral, the Council had no part in this incursion," Zorax insisted, though several delegates shifted uncomfortably. The emergency chamber doors slid open as Director Parker entered, her expression grim. "Admiral, 6 hostile vessels have penetrated our atmosphere. Our defensive batteries in the Pacific region are not responding." Reynolds nodded, appearing appropriately concerned for the Council's benefit. "What's the estimated time until they reach the mainland?" "Approximately 12 minutes, sir." Reynolds turned to Zorax. "Ambassador, your vessel is considerably more advanced than anything we possess. Would the Council be willing to assist in Earth's defense?" The request was calculated. Reynolds knew exactly what the answer would be. Zorax straightened to his full height, nearly 9 feet tall. "The Council will, of course, render assistance. However, our diplomatic vessel carries only limited defensive capabilities. We can perhaps intercept 2 of the Kryvax ships. But the others? "I understand," Reynolds said, appearing resigned. "We'll deploy what defenses we have." Talia stepped forward. "Admiral, the Kryvax aren't known for taking prisoners. If they reach your population centers—" "They won't," Reynolds interrupted with sudden steel in his voice. The room fell silent. Reynolds turned to Director Parker. "Initiate Protocol Thunderbird." Parker's eyes widened fractionally, the only break in her professional demeanor. "Sir, are you certain? The Council is about to see what we're really capable of," Reynolds finished, turning to face the Council representatives. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the deception, but circumstances now require transparency." With that, Reynolds placed his palm on the central command console. A DNA scanner and quantum signature reader verified his identity at levels far beyond what the Council technology could detect. The bland, primitive interface dissolved, replaced by a holographic command system of breathtaking complexity. "Thunderbird active," announced a calm voice as the entire chamber transformed. Walls reconfigured to reveal advanced monitoring stations. The central holographic display expanded to show Earth and its surroundings in perfect detail, including the Council vessel and the approaching Kryvax warships. "What is this?" Zorax demanded, his composure slipping. "The truth," Reynolds replied simply. Around the world, humanity's hidden defenses awakened. In the Pacific Ocean, what had appeared to be an ordinary aircraft carrier split apart, revealing a massive plasma cannon that pivoted smoothly to track the lead Kryvax ship. From the peaks of mountains in Japan, New Zealand, and Hawaii, concealed installations emerged, their targeting systems locking onto the invading vessels. In orbit, satellites that had appeared to be weather and communication platforms shed their disguises, revealing weapon systems that would have been immediately recognized and feared by any spacefaring civilization. On the holographic display, the Council representatives watched in stunned silence as Earth's true defensive grid came online. What had seemed like a primitive, barely protected world had transformed into a fortress. "Target lock on all 6 Kryvax vessels," reported a calm voice through the command system. "Fire at will," Reynolds ordered. The Pacific carrier platform unleashed a concentrated beam of superheated plasma that lanced through the atmosphere, striking the lead Kryvax ship with surgical precision. The vessel didn't explode, it simply ceased to exist, disintegrated into its component particles. The mountain installations fired in perfect synchronization, eliminating 3 more Kryvax ships before they could take evasive action. The orbital platforms engaged the remaining 2, trapping them in overlapping fields that distorted spacetime itself, preventing their escape before precision strikes reduced them to debris. The entire engagement lasted less than 30 seconds. Silence filled the command center as the Council representatives stared at the holographic display, showing the complete elimination of the Kryvax attack force. "By the eternal void," whispered Kurztak, the metallic delegate. "What are you?" Reynolds turned to face them, his expression calm but determined. "We are humanity, and we've been preparing for war for a very long time." Zorax's crystalline form had lost some of its luster. "How is this possible?" "Our scans detected exactly what we wanted them to detect," Reynolds finished, "just as your scanning probe saw exactly what we wanted it to see." Talia alone showed no surprise, only a quiet confirmation. "I sensed something was hidden, but not this." In orbit, the Council's diplomatic vessel suddenly changed course, moving to a defensive position. "Your ship is in no danger from us," Reynolds assured them. Unless, of course, the Council had something to do with this attack. Before Zorax could respond, Director Parker approached urgently. "Admiral, long-range sensors have detected a much larger Kryvax fleet approaching. At least 30 warships, including what appears to be a dreadnought-class vessel." Reynolds' eyes narrowed. "So this was just the advance force?" "Yes, sir. The main fleet will reach Earth orbit in approximately 3 hours." Commander Diana Winters stood on the bridge of the UES Odyssey, a vessel that until 20 minutes ago had resembled an ordinary orbital research platform. Now, with its camouflage systems deactivated, it revealed its true nature, Earth's most advanced battle cruiser. "Deployment complete, Commander," her executive officer reported. "All squadrons are in position." The holographic display showed 12 combat vessels forming a protective screen between Earth and the approaching Kravax fleet. Each ship had been hiding in plain sight, disguised as satellites, research stations, or debris collections. "Open a channel to Admiral Reynolds," Winters ordered. Reynolds' face appeared on the command screen, the stunned council delegates visible behind him. "Commander Winters, status report. Mercury defense grid is fully operational. Guardian Squadron is deployed and ready for engagement. The Odyssey's systems are at 100%. Very good. The Council's diplomatic vessel is moving to a position behind our defensive line. Extend our protective field to include them." Winters raised an eyebrow, but complied. "Acknowledged, Admiral. Though I'm not certain, they deserve our protection after this." "Coincidence." "Noted, Commander. But we defend everyone in our space, regardless of circumstances." The communication ended, and Winters turned her attention to the approaching Kravax fleet. Their formation suggested experienced military tactics. These weren't raiders but professional conquerors. "Tactical analysis," she ordered. Her weapons officer, Lieutenant Garcia, responded immediately. 32 vessels total. Their flagship appears to be equipped with a matter dissolution cannon, similar to Vega-class technology, but more primitive. Their shields would have been impenetrable to the technology we've been displaying to the Council, but against our actual capabilities. He smiled slightly. "Let's just say it won't be a fair fight." "It's not supposed to be fair," Winters replied. "It's supposed to be decisive." Below, on Earth's surface, the final elements of humanity's defense system activated. In the Rocky Mountains, the Sierra Complex emerged from its disguise as a national park, revealing a massive installation housing Earth's quantum prediction engines, supercomputers that calculated enemy movements before they occurred. At the Global Defense Headquarters, Reynolds watched as Zorax and the other council members struggled to comprehend what they were seeing. "This technology," Zorax said, his voice uncharacteristically subdued. "Some of it exceeds even council capabilities." "Not all of it," Reynolds corrected, "but enough." Talia moved closer to the holographic display, studying the defense grid with fascination. "Your quantum entanglement communication is instantaneous. The Council theorized such technology, but never successfully implemented it." "We had motivation," Reynolds replied simply. On the main display, the Kravax fleet had adjusted course, clearly surprised by Earth's unexpected defenses, but still committed to their attack. The Dreadnought-class vessel moved to the center of their formation, protected by smaller crafts. "They're preparing to fire their main weapon," Director Parker announced. "Impact in 45 seconds. Reynolds nodded. "Commander Winters, you may proceed with countermeasures." On the Odyssey, Winters acknowledged the order. "Activate temporal displacement shields. Prepare the phase cannons." The air around Earth's defensive fleet shimmered as advanced shield technology engaged, not the basic energy barriers the Council used, but something far more sophisticated. These shields didn't simply absorb or deflect energy. They manipulated the flow of time within their fields. When the Kravax dreadnought fired its primary weapon, a devastating beam of accelerated antimatter, it encountered something unprecedented. The beam appeared to slow as it approached Earth's defensive line, its particles spreading and dissipating as they entered the temporal field. "Fascinating," whispered Kurztak, the metallic council member. "They're altering the temporal coefficient within the shield matrix." In the command center, Reynolds allowed himself a small smile. "Not exactly, Counselor. We're selectively manipulating time within defined spatial parameters. The attack is still occurring at full speed from the Kravax perspective, but within our defensive envelope, time flows differently." A Kravax vessel broke formation, accelerating toward the Council's diplomatic ship, whether out of tactical opportunity or prior planning wasn't clear. "Commander Winters, we have a situation," Reynolds transmitted. "Council vessel targeted." On the Odyssey's bridge, Winters assessed the threat instantly. "Intercept course. Deploy Valkyrie units." From the Odyssey's launch bays, a swarm of what appeared to be metallic spheres emerged, each no larger than a basketball. As they streaked toward the attacking Kryvax vessel, they expanded, unfolding into humanoid forms, autonomous combat drones piloted by human operators through neural links. The Council representatives watched in awe as the Valkyrie units swarmed the attacking ship, moving through its defensive fire with impossible agility. Where energy weapons struck them directly, the units briefly phased out of normal spacetime, becoming translucent before resolidifying. "Gravitic armor," Zorax murmured, "combined with quantum phasing." Within moments, the Valkyries had disabled the Kryvax vessel's primary systems. Rather than destroying it, they attached themselves to its hull, forcing its engines to reverse thrust. Reynolds turned to the Council representatives. "We could destroy them all, but we prefer to understand why they're here first. Perhaps you could offer some insight, Ambassador Zorax." Zorax's crystalline form clouded slightly. "I assure you, Admiral, the Council had no knowledge." 3 more Kryvax vessels breaking formation. Director Parker interrupted. "They're on a direct collision course with population centers." Reynolds' expression hardened. "Commander Winters, you're authorized to use the Cronus Protocol." On the Odyssey, Winters nodded grimly. "Cronus Protocol engage." The space around the 3 attacking Kryvax ships distorted visibly as localized fields enveloped them. Within these fields, time itself accelerated exponentially. What appeared as mere seconds to outside observers translated to years within the fields. The Kryvax vessels aged decades in moments, their hulls corroding, systems failing, and power sources depleting. When the fields dissipated, only derelict husks remained, drifting harmlessly in space. "By the cosmic void," breathed one of the Council members. "They're manipulating time as a weapon." The emergency session of the Galactic Council took place aboard their vessel, now safely in Earth orbit under the protection of Commander Winters' fleet. What had begun as a formal evaluation had transformed into something unprecedented in Council history, a fundamental reassessment of a primitive species that had just demonstrated military capabilities exceeding their own. Zorax stood at the center of the Council chamber, his crystalline form reflecting the agitated movements of the other representatives. "We must consider the implications carefully. Humanity has deceived us." "As we attempted to deceive them," Talia countered quietly. "Our evaluation was never meant to be fair, was it, Ambassador?" The chamber fell silent as all eyes turned to the empathic Mithril. "I sensed the underlying intentions," she continued. "Several members came to Earth not to evaluate but to assess a potential threat or resource. The primitive facade was meant to determine how easily Earth could be controlled." Kurztak's metallic body emitted a low hum of displeasure. "The Mithril oversteps. This session concerns human deception, not Council politics." "Does it?" A new voice joined the conversation as Admiral Reynolds entered the chamber, accompanied by General Marcus Sullivan, Earth's highest-ranking military officer. Sullivan's weathered face and imposing presence commanded immediate attention. "This session," Reynolds said calmly, "concerns a Kryvax attack that somehow coincided perfectly with your evaluation. An interesting coincidence." General Sullivan stepped forward, his voice deep and measured. "Our analysis of the Kryvax communications suggests they received detailed intelligence about Earth's defense capabilities. The capabilities we presented to you, not our actual ones. You accuse the Council of collaboration with the Kryvax." Zorax's form shimmered with indignation. "Impossible. The Kryvax are barbarians, rejected from Council membership," Sullivan finished. "Yes, we're aware of the official position. Yet their attack formations demonstrated precise knowledge of what we showed you during yesterday's evaluation. The general activated a small device, projecting a holographic comparison between the Council's scanning patterns during the evaluation and the Krivak's attack vectors. The correlation was unmistakable. Someone on this council provided tactical information to the Krivaks, Sullivan stated flatly. Whether officially or as an individual actor remains to be determined. The chamber erupted in denials and accusations. Zorak struggled to maintain order as delegates accused one another, ancient rivalries and political tensions bubbling to the surface. Talia remained silent, her silver eyes moving from one representative to another, reading emotions that others couldn't perceive. Reynolds watched the chaos with calculated patience. Earth's censors had already identified the likely culprit, but forcing a public accusation would fracture the council completely, something that might prove disadvantageous given the approaching threat. Representatives, he finally interrupted, his voice cutting through the noise. Earth has no interest in council politics or assigning blame. Our concern is defending our planet against the remaining Krivak's forces. A holographic display shifted to show the main Krivak's fleet, regrouping after its initial losses. Though diminished, it remained a significant threat. They will attack again, Reynolds continued. And we believe they're calling for reinforcements. Impossible, said a reptilian delegate. The Krivaks have no long-range communication capability that could penetrate this distance. General Sullivan's expression darkened. They're using technology they shouldn't have. Quantum entanglement communicators. Technology that, officially, only the Council possesses. This revelation sent another wave of tension through the chamber. Quantum entanglement communication was supposedly restricted to Council members. Yet another indication of a betrayal within their ranks. Zorak struggled to reassert control. What does Earth propose? You've demonstrated impressive defensive capabilities, surely sufficient to repel the remainder of the Krivak's force. Defense isn't the issue, Reynolds replied. Understanding is. We need to know why they attacked now, why they possessed restricted technology, and who provided them with intelligence. Before Zorax could respond, Director Parker entered the chamber urgently. Admiral, we've detected another Krivak's fleet approaching, much larger than the first. Current count shows over 100 vessels, including 3 Dreadnought-class ships. The council chamber fell silent. Arrival time. Reynolds asked. 6 hours, sir. General Sullivan turned to Zorax. It seems the Krivaks are committing significant resources to this attack, far more than they would for a random conquest of a primitive world. They must have learned of your true capabilities, suggested one of the delegates. Or, Reynolds said quietly, they knew all along, just as someone knew to provide them with our evaluation schedule. The accusation hung in the air as the council representatives exchanged uneasy glances. We face a common enemy, Reynolds continued pragmatically. Whatever the source of this intelligence breach, Earth proposes a joint defense operation. We'll coordinate with council forces to repel this attack, and in the process, perhaps discover who benefits from this conflict. And after? Zorax asked, his tone measured. If we survive this attack, what then? Earth has concealed military technology that violates several Council non-proliferation agreements. Agreements we never signed, General Sullivan pointed out. But to answer your question, after this, you'll learn why we conceal our capabilities, why humanity has maintained this charade despite achieving technological parity with the Council centuries ago. Centuries. Kerr's tax mechanical voice betrayed genuine shock. There are things you need to see, Reynolds said grimly. Things we've kept hidden not out of deception, but necessity. If we survive the coming attack, we'll show you why Earth has been preparing for war since before your council existed. The secure facility beneath Yellowstone's caldera hummed with energy as Admiral Reynolds led the council delegation through security protocols that impressed even Zorax. Automated systems scanned each visitor at the quantum level, creating temporary access profiles. Your security measures are thorough, observed Kurztak, his metallic form reflecting the blue light of the scanning beams. They need to be, General Sullivan replied. What you're about to see has been protected by 15 generations of dedicated personnel. The final security door, a massive structure composed of materials unknown to the Council, slid open silently, revealing an immense chamber that extended for kilometers in all directions. At its center stood a holographic projection system, unlike anything the Council had ever encountered, surrounded by what appeared to be ancient artifacts preserved in stasis fields. Dr. Eliza Thompson waited for them beside the central console. Her silver hair and lined face testified to decades of service, yet her eyes remained sharp and penetrating beneath her glasses. "Welcome to the Remembrance Archive," she said without preamble. "I am Dr. Thompson, Chief Historian of humanity's oldest continuous research project." "How old?" asked Talia, her empathic senses clearly detecting the weight of history in the chamber. "The modern incarnation of the project began after the Cascade event of 2036, Thompson replied. "But the original archives date back approximately 12,000 years. Zorax's crystalline form flickered with disbelief. Impossible. Human civilization barely existed then. That's the narrative we allowed to persist," Thompson said with a thin smile. "It served our purposes." She activated the central console, and the holographic system came to life. The chamber darkened as a perfect representation of ancient Earth appeared before them, showing advanced cities that shouldn't have existed in that era. 12 millennia ago, humanity had achieved a technological level comparable to your Council's current capabilities, Thompson explained as the Council representatives stared in disbelief. "Our civilization spanned the globe, and we had begun preliminary exploration of our solar system." The hologram shifted, showing sleek vessels entering Earth's orbit. They were unlike anything in known space. Asymmetrical constructions that seemed to defy conventional physics, with surfaces that absorbed rather than reflected light. "First contact," Thompson continued grimly. "Not with your Council, but with them. We never learned their name. In our oldest records, they're simply called the Harbingers." The hologram displayed the systematic destruction of Earth's ancient cities. The weapons employed by the Harbingers defied conventional understanding. They didn't destroy matter but somehow removed it from existence itself. "They came without warning or communication," Thompson said, her voice steady despite the horror displayed before them. "Within days, our civilization was reduced to ruins. Billions died." The Council representatives watched in stunned silence as the hologram showed the desperate response of ancient humanity, the development of weapons that matched and then exceeded the invaders' capabilities. "Our ancestors were pushed to the brink of extinction," Reynolds explained. "They responded by creating defensive and offensive systems so powerful they threatened the fabric of reality itself." A hologram showed a final desperate battle above Earth's atmosphere. The ancient human forces, though vastly outnumbered, deployed weapons that distorted spacetime itself. The Harbinger fleet was decimated, the survivors retreating beyond the solar system. "Victory came at a terrible cost," Thompson continued. "The weapons they created could not be safely contained with their existing technology. The manipulation of fundamental forces had consequences, cascading quantum effects that threatened to unravel reality itself." The hologram showed the aftermath, the survivors making an unimaginable choice. They deliberately disabled their advanced technology, erased their civilization's achievements from most records, and established a hidden caretaker organization to preserve the truth while humanity rebuilt from primitive conditions. "They knew the Harbingers would return eventually," Sullivan said quietly. "So they embedded certain knowledge genetically, ensuring that humanity would rediscover key technologies when needed. They created hidden vaults of knowledge to be discovered at specific intervals." "The Cascade event of 2036 wasn't a disaster," Reynolds explained. "It was the final awakening. The activation of the last vault, triggered when our sensors detected quantum disturbances at the edge of our solar system, signals matching the Harbinger signature." Dr. Thompson moved to one of the preserved artifacts, what appeared to be an ancient control panel with symbols that predated any known human writing system. "Since then, we've been systematically reactivating our ancestral technologies, rebuilding our defenses, and preparing for their return. She looked directly at Zorax. That's why we maintain the facade of a primitive civilization. We couldn't risk the knowledge spreading before we were ready. Talia approached one of the stasis fields, studying an ancient weapon system with visible emotion. You fear these harbingers might return through council space, that one of our members might inadvertently lead them to you. Or deliberately, Sullivan said bluntly. The Kryvax attack pattern matches certain aspects of harbinger tactics. Their weapons technology shows similarities too profound to be coincidental. Zorax's crystalline form clouded with concern. You believe the Kryvax are connected to these harbingers? Not directly, Reynolds replied. But we believe someone is providing them with derived technology they shouldn't possess. Thompson activated another holographic display, showing a star map of council space. Certain regions pulsed with warning colors. We've detected anomalous signals from these sectors. Quantum signatures matching harbinger communications, she explained. Someone in your council space has made contact with something they don't understand. The Kryvax fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel exactly where Earth's defense strategists had predicted, their formation more disciplined than before. This was no mere raiding party but a coordinated battle group intent on conquest, or destruction. On the bridge of the UES Odyssey, Commander Winters assessed the tactical display with calculating precision. 108 vessels, including 3 dreadnoughts. They're deploying in accordion attack pattern. A council military formation, Lieutenant Garcia observed. They shouldn't know that. Winter's eyes narrowed. They shouldn't know a lot of things. The Kryvax fleet split into 3 battle groups, one directly targeting Earth while the others moved to flank the defensive line formed by Earth's vessels and the reluctantly cooperative council ship. In the Global Defense Headquarters, Admiral Reynolds stood with the council representatives, watching the approaching conflict with grim determination. The evidence of council involvement with the Kryvax had created a palpable tension in the room. They're targeting both Earth and your vessel, Reynolds pointed out. Curious that they'd attack their supposed allies. The council is not allied with these barbarians, Zorax insisted, though his usual confidence had diminished considerably. Reynolds ignored the denial. Director Parker, status of the quantum signature trace. Parker's fingers danced across her console. Confirmed, Admiral. The Kryvax dreadnoughts are emitting energy signatures matching the harbinger patterns in our archive. They've somehow acquired or replicated aspects of their technology. General Sullivan turned to the council members. One last chance for honesty. Which of you has had contact with technology matching these signatures? The council representatives exchanged uneasy glances, but before anyone could respond, the tactical display flashed red. Multiple temporal distortion weapons detected, Parker announced. They're targeting our Cronus fields. Reynolds' expression hardened. They've adapted to our previous tactics, which means someone told them exactly what to expect. His eyes swept across the council members. Commander Winters, execute defensive pattern Echo, and prepare Lazarus Protocol. On the council ship, a representative who had remained silent throughout the proceedings, Mexstar of the Volus Hegemony, suddenly activated a concealed device. A burst of encrypted quantum data transmitted from the council vessel to the lead Kryvax dreadnought. Transmission detected, Parker shouted. Source: Council Ship, Section 3. Talia's silver eyes widened. Mexstar. It's Mexstar. On the tactical display, the Kryvax fleet accelerated, their weapons systems powering up with newfound coordination. Evasive maneuvers. Winters commanded as the first volley of advanced energy weapons lanced toward Earth's defensive line. The battle erupted in earnest, but this time the Kryvax were prepared. Their ships executed complex patterns that suggested intimate knowledge of Earth's defensive capabilities, and their weapons, enhanced with Harbinger-derived technology, penetrated shields that should have been impervious. Reynolds watched as 2 of Earth's defense platforms were destroyed in the initial exchange. They're countering our temporal fields, he observed grimly. General Sullivan, we need to escalate. Sullivan nodded. Lazarus Protocol confirmed, Admiral. Reynolds turned to the Council representatives. What you're about to witness has never been revealed to any non-human entity. This is the true extent of Earth's defensive capability. He placed his palm on a biometric scanner, activating a secure communication channel. This is Admiral Reynolds. Authorization Omega-7 Epsilon. Initiate Lazarus Protocol. Across the planet, billions of humans paused momentarily as the Lazarus system activated. Though invisible to external observation, a subtle neural network, dormant in every human brain, awakened, connecting the collective processing power of humanity into a unified defensive consciousness. In the command center, Reynolds closed his eyes as his mind joined the network. His consciousness expanded, connecting to billions of others in a carefully structured system designed to harness humanity's greatest resource, its unified mental capability. The Council representatives watched in astonishment as the holographic displays transformed, showing not just physical battle data but streams of collective consciousness, billions of human minds contributing processing power to defense calculations. What is this? Zorax whispered. Neural network integration. Dr. Thompson explained, her own eyes closed as she joined the collective. Every human contributing a fraction of their cognitive capacity to defense coordination. On the battlefield, the effect was immediate and dramatic. Earth's defensive vessels began moving with impossible coordination, anticipating Kryvax maneuvers before they occurred. Weapons fired with perfect timing, striking vulnerable points that couldn't have been calculated by conventional means. Commander Winters, her consciousness both individual and part of the greater network, directed her squadron with unprecedented effectiveness. The Odyssey executed a series of maneuvers that seemed to defy physics, slipping between enemy formations and striking with surgical precision. Impossible, breathed Kurztak. They're operating as a single entity. Not quite, Thompson replied, her voice distant as her mind remained partially with the collective. We maintain individuality while contributing to the greater consciousness. It's our unique evolutionary advantage, the ability to function both as individuals and as a collective when needed. As the battle turned in Earth's favor, the Kryvax commander made a desperate decision. The lead dreadnought broke from formation, sacrificing its escort vessels to launch a direct attack on Earth itself. Its primary weapon, a distortion cannon clearly derived from Harbinger technology, powered up to full capacity. They're targeting the North American continent, Parker announced. Potential civilian casualties in the millions. In that moment, Commander Winters made a decision that only the collective consciousness could have calculated. The Odyssey accelerated directly toward the dreadnought, passing through its defensive fire through gaps that existed for microseconds, predicted by the combined processing power of billions. Cronus field at maximum, Winters ordered, targeting their weapon systems. The Odyssey deployed its temporal manipulation field directly against the dreadnought's primary weapon. The resulting interaction between the two advanced technologies created a cascade effect that neither side had fully anticipated. Space-time itself warped around the Kryvax flagship. The vessel seemed to stretch and distort before imploding in a silent flash that momentarily created a localized event horizon. Before the dreadnought vanished entirely, it transmitted a final quantum signal, a set of coordinates aimed not at the remaining Kryvax forces, but toward the distant edge of the galaxy. Dr. Thompson's face went pale as the signal was analyzed by Earth's systems. "No," she whispered. "They found us." The reformed Galactic Council chamber aboard their flagship vessel hummed with nervous energy. Representatives from all 12 member species sat in a perfect circle, their traditional hierarchy temporarily suspended in light of recent events. At the center stood Admiral Reynolds, now wearing the formal diplomatic uniform of Earth's newly established Stellar Command. Nexstar of the Volus hegemony knelt in the prisoner's dock, his once proud posture now broken. The evidence against him had been irrefutable: quantum communications logs, financial transactions with Kryvax intermediaries, and most damning of all, possession of artifacts clearly derived from Harbinger technology. "The Council has reached its verdict," Zorax announced, his crystalline form now dull with shame at the betrayal that had occurred under his leadership. Mexstar of the Volus hegemony is guilty of high treason, conspiracy with enemy forces, and violation of the Prime Technology protocols. Mexstar's head remained bowed, but his voice carried surprising strength. "You understand nothing. They are coming. I merely chose the winning side. And yet your allies were defeated," Reynolds observed calmly. "The Kryvax were tools, nothing more," Mexstar replied, finally raising his gaze. "The ones who provided their technology, the ones who enhanced their weapons, they are merely the advanced scouts. What follows will consume your world, Admiral, just as it will eventually consume the Council." Talia stepped forward, her empathic abilities focused on the prisoner. "He believes this absolutely," she confirmed. "But there's more. His mind has been altered. There are patterns of thought that are not his own." Reynolds exchanged a glance with Dr. Thompson, who nodded grimly. "Neural imprinting. The same techniques the Harbingers attempted to use on Earth during the ancient conflict." Zorax signaled, and Council security officers removed Mexstar from the chamber. As they departed, the traitor called out one final warning. "They know you've reawakened. They're coming for Earth first." When the doors sealed, Reynolds moved to the central position of the chamber. "The events of the past week have fundamentally altered the relationship between Earth and the Galactic Council. What began as an evaluation has revealed truths that neither side fully anticipated." He activated a holographic display, showing the coordinates transmitted by the destroyed Kryvax dreadnought. "These coordinates point to a region beyond the galaxy's outer rim, a region our ancestors identified as the origin point of the Harbinger forces." "What exactly are these Harbingers?" asked a reptilian council member. "Are they truly as powerful as your records suggest?" Reynolds gestured to Dr. Thompson, who stepped forward with a data crystal containing selected records from the Remembrance Archive. "This contains everything we know about their technology, biology, and tactics," she explained. "Based on the enhanced weapons used by the Kryvax, we believe the Harbingers have continued to evolve their technology during their absence." General Sullivan joined them, his weathered face solemn. "Earth does not seek conventional membership in your council. Instead, we propose the Disclosure Doctrine, a new framework for cooperation." The holographic display shifted, showing detailed schematics of Earth's advanced defensive systems, temporal manipulation technology, and neural networking capabilities. "We will share all our military technologies and historical records regarding the Harbinger threat," Sullivan continued. "In exchange, the Council must reform its defensive policies and prepare for war on a scale not seen in this galaxy's history." Zorax and several other representatives appeared shocked by the openness of the proposal. "You would surrender your technological advantages?" Zorax asked incredulously. "This isn't about advantage," Reynolds replied firmly. "It's about survival. Earth has been preparing for the Harbinger's return for generations. Now that they know we've reawakened our ancient technologies, they will come for us first. But they won't stop with Earth." The display changed again, showing long-range sensor data from Earth's most distant observation posts. Hundreds of anomalous signals appeared at the edge of detectable space, quantum disturbances that matched the Harbinger signature. "These readings began 3 months ago," Thompson explained. "Based on their pattern and intensity, we estimate arrival within 2 years. Not a raiding party like before, but a full invasion force." The council chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. "We've maintained secrecy and hidden our capabilities not out of deception," Reynolds said into the silence, "but because we needed to be certain of our strength before revealing ourselves. The ancient records were clear. The Harbingers seek out and destroy any civilization that reaches a certain technological threshold. They are cosmic exterminators, preventing the rise of species that might one day challenge them." Reynolds moved to the center of the chamber, his voice resonating with conviction. "Earth doesn't seek dominance or control. We offer partnership, our knowledge and technology combined with the Council's resources and reach. Together, we might stand a chance against what's coming. Zorax's crystalline form shimmered as he processed the proposal. And if we decline, then Earth will stand alone, as we did before, Sullivan replied bluntly. But understand this, if Earth falls, the Council will follow. The Harbingers don't negotiate, compromise, or show mercy. Talia approached the central platform, her silver eyes fixed on the ominous signals displayed in the hologram. There's something the Admiral isn't saying, she observed. Something about Earth's connection to these Harbingers. Reynolds nodded, acknowledging the empathic's insight. Our historians believe the Harbingers attacked Earth, specifically in ancient times. Not randomly, but with purpose. They seem to fear what humanity might become. And what is that? Asked Kurstak. Reynolds gestured to the holographic display, which shifted to show the neural network pattern of the Lazarus Protocol. Billions of minds working in perfect, voluntary harmony while maintaining individual identity. The one thing the Harbingers can never achieve, unity without uniformity. The ability to act as one without sacrificing what makes us individuals. This is humanity's true hidden military capability. Not our weapons or shields, but our unique evolutionary path. The council chamber erupted in debate as representatives grasped the full implications of Earth's disclosure. In the midst of the commotion, Reynolds activated the final section of the presentation, a detailed defense plan for the entire galaxy, developed over generations by Earth's strategists. "This is why we hid," he said quietly, more to himself than to the debating council. "Not because we feared you, but because we've been preparing for them."